Thank you for having me. My name is Mike Carter, and I'm not a senator. I'm your state representative.
I'm sorry. I was just giving you a better feeling.
I appreciate that. I need all the help I can get. I was out here last year when I was campaigning to be elected from District 29, and by the grace of God and good luck, I had no opposition, and neither in the primary nor the general election. So I was the only person in Tennessee that did that. And that's made quite an impression on those who had to work so hard to get there. What it did for me as a state representative is it meant that I did not owe any lobbyists or any special interest groups any favors. I had no idea. I practiced law for almost 20 years, became a judge and was a judge for 9 years, and then helped run a $2 billion healthcare company. I've been in a lot of scrapes, whether it's legally or in the courtroom or in business, and been in a lot of scrapes. And so I thought there was nothing that they could show me in the state legislature that I hadn't already experienced. And let me just say this. It was one of the oddest experiences of my life. I had no idea that the place was as it was. The average day starts about 5:45 or 6 o'clock in the morning. There's a breakfast at 7 o'clock put on by special interest groups. Now, I don't want to say special interest groups is a bad thing, because the first one I went to were homeschoolers, and I'm big on homeschoolers. I had no idea how busy we were going to be. I got assigned to the Civil Justice Committee, which considers virtually every bill that goes through the legislature. Then I got put on the Finance Committee. I had no idea that meant 2.5 hours every day. So when you're in so many meetings that it's difficult to meet with people from the district, that's a little frustrating. So we start with breakfast at 7, and we usually have 3 breakfasts before 8:30. 3 different people. Now let's say that you all came and you wanted to talk about some bill or something, and you go to the time and trouble and expense of putting on breakfast, and then you want us to be there so you can have our undivided attention. Well, I've been at many breakfasts where there were 4 or 6 of us out of 99. And people, I don't like that. I don't like people to take that time and effort to talk to us. Now, I must admit, I've gone to a lot of those meetings and sat there and thought, what in the world am I doing sitting here? Richard Floyd, who is a good friend of mine, made a name for himself in certain conservative causes on some gay issues, found himself at a breakfast this year. He didn't realize the name of it. You know how now all these groups make these innocuous names that you can't figure out what the heck they do? And it was a gay and lesbian transgendered breakfast, right? And there said Richard. And so they all knew Richard. And they asked him what he was doing there. He said, well, I got an invitation. And they said, well, that was our mistake. and so he very courteously explained to them his opposition, and he ate and he left. And so I'm not sure how well that goes. By 8:30, generally 9 o'clock, the committee started. We're not on the floor, and we start committing these bills to memory. I was in the Civil Justice meeting, our last meeting, and was brought a 52-page bill on a restatement of trust agreements. Now, I studied trust in law school, and I had to take a test on them, and I vowed then to never read another one. If I could get through that one, I was never going to read another. 52-page bill drawn by 17 trust lawyers, and they handed it to us about 6 minutes before they expected us to vote on it. And so I simply said, did you get this from Nancy Pelosi? I can't assume it would have come from anywhere other than Nancy Pelosi, but guys, are we actually going to vote on something without knowing what's in it? Well, that was very frustrating to me. Now, many of you probably applauded the fact that we got out 3 weeks early. We finished quicker than any Democrat-led session ever had. Do you like that?
Yes.
I hated it. Do you know why? I didn't get to consider your business. They bring me a 52-page bill on trust and ask me to vote on it. Do you really want me to come home early? Or do you want me to know what I'm doing? Now, I'm not the sharpest tool in the drawer, but I can read a bill pretty well and understand it. So I need that time. Remember, guys, we get paid when we're here or we're there. So I found so many things that struck me as political gimmicks. Now, golly, with all these cameras here, what am I doing? tell the truth. I can't believe this. It bothered me because so many things we did were for political consumption. Guys, I didn't go up there to be a politician. I had a lobbyist come in one day and began to explain to me why I should support this bill. And I said, ma'am, I appreciate you coming, but I'm not for it, not going to be for it, wasting time. And so she became a little more forceful. And I said, ma'am, listen, you don't understand. There's only one representative up here that didn't take any money from any lobbyists. And you're looking at it. So I don't have any problem with you presenting your side. But I know a little bit about this, and I disagree with you, and you're wasting your time. Go do something else. I had some very conservative causes brought to me. And people would be a little bit surprised at my response, because I'm not up there to be a politician. I've been blessed in life. Some of you here have known me a long time, and I've really been blessed. And going up there, I saw as a sacred trust, not as a political office. I've been a judge. You want to be sucked up to and have buddies and be a great guy, be a judge. Wear a robe, carry a gavel. They'll tell you you're handsome, you need to gain weight, your jokes are the best in the world. All of it, of course, is garbage. So I went, and I didn't really need the title. I didn't really need the position. The $20,000 a year is nice, but I didn't really need that. So I said something to her, and sometimes have you ever heard something come out of your mouth and you didn't really know it was coming till you heard it? And I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, leave. I mean that in the kindest Christian sense. Leave my office, because you've confused me with a politician, and we're just not going to get along. I was at a meeting one night, and a lobbyist came up to me, a very nice young lady, and represented a very good cause, and went to hand me a check. And I said, ma'am, why would you hand me a check? And she said, for no reason. I said, ma'am, I'm from Ooltewah. I don't know if you've ever been to Ooltewah, but in Ooltewah, when I mowed Miss Kirk's yard, my first grade school too, she paid me $3. She didn't give me $3 until I mowed the yard. I did something for the money. Oh, well, we would never ask you to do anything for money. I said, how much is in the check? She said, $2,500. And I said, ma'am, why would you give me $2,500? And she said, because it's the right thing to do. I said, okay. Now, anybody know where Puckett's is in Nashville? A little restaurant down there. Anyway, it's a little restaurant. We were all there, and it was just freezing cold, and it was spitting snow. It was just, man, it was nasty. And so I look out, and I see a young woman with a little kid. And I said, ma'am, you're a nice lady, but I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a horse's rear end. But let me just be honest with you. You want to impress me and have access to me to give me that money. She said, that's exactly right. I said, you see that young girl out there that day? Go give her that $20. You will impress me, and I will guarantee you equal access of any of my constituents. Now that's what I'll trade with you. She said, well, sir, we're not allowed to do that. And I said, well, okay, I understand. I said, I appreciate it, and don't be offended, but I don't want your money. Here's what she did. And I'm so sorry, cameras are here. That will make us distrust you. So I'm standing there one day, and the group has come in from Chattanooga, and we're having a good time. And so I didn't have much time, but I had some time to talk to him, and she comes in. And so she met with my legislative assistant. She said, I really need to see Representative Carter. Something really urgent on the Civil Judiciary Committee. Golly, I just got to talk to him. Of course, I can hear her saying that, and I'm standing there talking to these people. And I said, excuse me just a minute. Ma'am, why would you talk to a man you don't trust? And she said, dear God, are you never going to forget that? And I said, no, I'm Republican. We don't forget anything. So the job was quite a shock to me. We start early in the morning. We go till late at night. I didn't realize that. The good thing is I lost 15 pounds. Most of our committees for finance started at 11 or at noon, and so I didn't eat lunch, and so I got used to not eating, and so it worked out good. So there's some good things about it. I filed some bills that to me were so simple, so commonsensical, that no one would even know they went through until the governor signed it. God. You would have thought I had filed a request to open the gates of hell and release the demons. In is walking Bobby Wood, who was our state representative for 28 years, wasn't it, Bobby? 28 years. Yeah. Do you know that by the way, he's my hero, but the reason I bring this up is for 28 years, he tried to pass an annexation bill. Now, all those bills said was that if you live in the county and the city wants to annex you, you get a vote. It's not a radical concept. Well, it is in China and Tennessee, the two places. 47 states in America allow you to vote or have input on whether you're annexed into a city. When you get annexed into a city, what happens to you? Your taxes, your regulations. Went through that today with one governing body telling me I had to do something and another governing body telling me I could not do it. I don't know which to mind. I'm going to ignore both of them and let them battle it out. So you double your permitting cost, you double your regulation, and you double your taxes or more. When do you have a say? Do you call the city that is incorporating you? You're not in their city. They don't represent you. Do you call your county commissioner? He doesn't have, or she doesn't have a vote. It's nothing to do with it. So I thought it was very simple. I knew that Bobby had tried it for 28 years, and each time it died in the subcommittee, I believe, didn't it, Bob? You never even got out of subcommittee. You know, first the bill goes to the subcommittee, then to the full committee, then to the, what's called calendar and rules to get set on the calendar, and then it goes to the floor for debate. Bobby never got past step one. Now, why? What's the difference between his extraordinary efforts and what happened this year? There was a change in the leadership in our government.
Yes.
Folks, let me leave you with this. It matters. It matters who governs. Now, it doesn't make a big a difference as I wanted it to make, but it did make a difference. And so I filed a very simple bill, two bills. One that said if a city is going to annex you, they cannot annex you until they have provided the promised services to all the people they've already annexed. And we nicknamed it the Ryan's Buffet Bill. Eat all you want. And just clean your plate before you go get another plate. See, I had no idea what I had done. I didn't realize that that bill was the key to the gates of hell that released all the demons. Well, when I filed it, oddly enough, it went before a group of gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen in the subcommittee that live out in the country. And in less than 30 seconds, it passed. And so we went on to the full committee. Well, then things started getting a little funny. And we started running into some problems. We had filed another bill that said if you're going to annex someone, they have a right to vote. Annexation by referendum. And of all I've been fortunate to do in my life, practice law, be a judge, and run a $2 billion a year healthcare company where the government was on us steady with threats daily, this was the most vicious battle I've ever been in my life. By far, not even close. Could we get a referendum for annexation passed this year? No. What did I end up having to do to get it passed? Well, we had to water it down so much it hardly tastes like what it started. But here's what it does. For a period of 1 year, from April the 15th until May the 15th, there can be no annexations. A 1 year moratorium, a breathing time. There's a group called TASER, Tennessee, Bobby, you remember what it is? Tennessee something Commission on Intergovernmental Relations. And that's a political way of hiding from you folks. So what we do is we send the tough bills to TASER and we let them do all these studies and get all these PhDs involved, and they come out with a bill, and then we say, well, TASER wants it, so we'll agree with it. So we don't really take a stand. Do you see what I'm saying? In politics, we call that cover, running for cover. So we referred it to TASER. Now, the bill only says that your city, there are 4 ways to annex in Tennessee. One of them is they can do it by annexation by ordinance without your consent of all these different areas. All we did of the 4 ways is we said you can go ahead and annex if the people want to be annexed, because all the mayors assured me that everyone annexed wanted to be annexed. So I said, well, we'll just put that in the bill.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine, then we don't have a problem. So annexation by consent, annexation of commercial areas. This young man that runs Alcoa, a city manager, said, well, Mike, why do you want to stop us from getting Walmart and Target and places like that and the tax revenue that comes from it? And I said, well, they can't vote because they're corporations, and I understand that, but guys, you're looking at an old county guy. And when you go and get that $115,000 a month from Walmart and you put it in the city, you take it away from the county. How much does it cost Hamilton County today to run the jail and the workhouse? $89,000 today. How much will it cost us tomorrow? $89,000. So the counties have certain responsibilities, and as the cities increase, they take that tax money and give it to the city, and then the county commissioner has to raise your taxes. See, the county exists under state constitution.
Yeah.
It's not a creation of statute. It exists because it is a political division of the state of Tennessee. Do you get that? State of Tennessee, Hamilton County, 95 of them make up the county. Why does a city exist? Because it chose to. Because it chose to. So I simply said, if we're going to double people's taxes, double their regulation, double the debt. Think about Chattanooga and how far in debt it is when it annexes you. You're receiving a part of that debt, of course. I'm saying if you're going to do that to a Tennessee, they ought to have a say. Is that a radical concept?
No.
Everybody knows Bobby Wood and what a great guy he is. He tried it for 28 years. You believe in the cause, don't you, Bobby? You ought to have a vote. In fact, he was just annexed not long ago, and out of his annexation, he got a garbage can. But you had to buy it, didn't you, Bobby?
$60 for $2,000 garbage can.
$60 for a $2,000 garbage can. Well, that's a bargain, right? So I'll sell him one for $30 tomorrow. What is wrong with that? Now, here's what I didn't understand. Even though there had been a shift in politics and the Republicans had taken over, I didn't understand that the cities own the legislature. Is that a fair statement, Bobby? All right. So when I filed the bill, some of my cities came to me and said, what the heck are you doing? I said, well, goodness, I'm making you be responsible. Even the best dog needs a collar. Sure. No. So they invite me out to dinner. And they did this really nice restaurant. And the food was really good. I don't mind to tell you. And so there were 7 cities there, and 2 of them, which are in my district. And so we had just a wonderful meal. And we got near the end. I mean, the dessert is almost gone. And I said, guys, no one has mentioned annexation. And there was a quiet fell over the room, and they said, well, why are you doing this to us? And I said, why would you think I'm doing something to you? And so here it went, and here it started. And by the end, I simply said this. I said, look, guys and ladies, don't be mad at me. We have a basic difference in agreement. You're a Democrat, and I'm a Republican. You're a liberal, and I'm a conservative. To which great anger. Apparently, there was only one Democrat in the room. And one person says, I've been the chairman of the party. I said, well, I don't judge you by what you say. I judge you by what you do. Now, you take people's homes, and you double their taxes, and you double their regulation, and you bring debt upon them, and you will not give them a say. Tell me you're a Republican. I ain't. I said, no, sir, you are not. You are a liberal hiding as a Republican.
I know.
Now, I don't mind that. But when you run, tell people you're a Democrat. Well, I'm not a Democrat. I'm offended you would bring it up. I said, well, if I voted for those things at the state, would you support me? It's complicated. It was the most shocking thing of my life. to realize that the battle was going to be with Democrats and Republicans. And folks, it was vicious. Bo Watson carried the bill on the Senate side and did a magnificent job. He kept saying to me, Mike, I'm not going to carry the bill until you get through another committee. And I kept thinking, Bo, why don't you go on? Why don't you go on? It's because he's been there and he knew what I was facing. He didn't have the heart to tell me, but he knew they were going to chop my head off. Well, by the grace of God and hard work and a lot of people, we made it. We got the first bill passed, and I've heard 68 years, I've heard 38 years, I'm not sure which it is, that regulated the city in some small way. So for a period of 1 year, there can be no annexations. Tasser, by the way, I got a letter today, Bobby, I've been appointed to that. They took a sitting guy off of it and put me on it, and I very much appreciate that, because I want to know there's a voice there among those 25 people, both elected or 8 elected, and then the rest of them work for the state, to hear and understand this. Now, many of you live in the city, and you may not understand this, but what I say to you is this: for those who chose to live in the county and moved into the county, if you're going to change their way of life, let's give them a say. That's all we're saying. Do you realize that a part of the 3 ways that we allow to continue without restraint on the cities for annexation is one of them is by referendum. It's just never used. But if they exceed their urban growth boundary, they have to give you a referendum. So do you know that since 2010 there have been 4 cities moved to expand their urban growth boundaries by referendum, and 3 of the 4 have passed. I don't have any problem with that. I was a big supporter of a bill out of Shelby County where, I don't know whether you all are keeping up, I certainly wasn't until I got there, but Shelby County, the city of Memphis is going out of the school business. And that turns all of their school and their very problematic system over to Shelby County. And so a group of people with kids in school out there who live in little towns called Arlington, Collierville, help me, somebody's out there, Millington maybe, and another one, Cordova. Maybe, no, Cordova was already in there. Anyway, 3 or 4 of these cities passed their own ordinance. We will raise our own taxes and build our own schools and educate our own children. And what did the legislature say? Nope, we're not going to let that happen. And so I heard about it. I got the sweetest letter from this little lady. And you know, we get about 150 emails a day, and I try to read every one of them. And something about this young lady touched me. I say young, I didn't know it at the time. But something about her email touched me. And so I wrote her back. And I said, I want to know more about this. And so she wrote me back. And I said, well, I want to know who you are. And so I don't remember her age, but she had 2 little kids and just a great husband. And they were trying to decide whether to homeschool, and then they wanted to go ahead and do this. Well, we began to go door to door talking about that bill, and you could see as you brought the argument to the representatives and to the senators, their resistance began to die. And that bill passed overwhelmingly. Can you imagine conservative people voting to double their own taxes to build their own schools, and the public school people said no? I did not understand that. So there's a lot of things up there I don't understand. I got a call as I was coming in the door from Andrew Farmer. He's a representative up in Sevierville, and his newspaper's going to interview him tomorrow, and his mayor is telling the newspaper that the end is near because of the bill on annexation. They can annex any way they want to annex now. They just can't take your home or your farm. They can take any commercial area just as they have in the past. Why did I give them that? Because I couldn't get it passed any other way, right, Bobby? I could just do the best I could do. So what we decided to do is protect you and your farm. That's not good enough. Smyrna yesterday and Murfreesboro got together and had a big press conference, condemned the bill, said it would bankrupt cities within 8 years, and asked the governor to veto it. I was interviewed by the Tennessean on the bill, and they asked me, are you not going to bankrupt the cities if the bill passes? And I said, wait a minute, why is that? And they said, a city must grow to survive. I said, that's the Bernie Madoff theory of finance.
Yeah.
They call it Ponzi. That made it in the paper, and
Good.
my wife thought I should have thrown Ponzi in, but
No.
anyway, is that not the truth? The county cannot grow. The state cannot grow. I can't go to Governor Housing and say we're short on money. Let's run out 40 to the coast and pick up the beach, and run down 75 to Tampa and pick up the Gulf Coast and tax those areas we can. So all I'm saying is, let's bring responsibility to government. Now, that bill was dead 100 times, and one of the days it was dead, I called Mark West. I said, Mark, they're going to kill this bill tomorrow. He said, no, they're not. I'll be up there in the morning. Mark came. He met with people. They're a little bit afraid, Mark. Thank God. He got it passed that. It was dead at a final committee. And there's a guy up there, a conservative talk show host named Ralph Bristol. I don't know if you all know him. But he called me one day. He said, Mr. Carter, never met you. I'm interested in your bill. I can't believe you got as far as you got. Is there anything I can do to help you? I said, boy, there sure is. I said, tomorrow we're going to be killed in this certain committee. And he said, who's going to kill it? And I told him. He said, you got his cell phone number? I said, no, but I'll have it here in a few minutes. I got this particular chairman's cell phone number, and Ralph Bristol called him and caught him in his car. He's from the most conservative county in Tennessee. And he said, why are you acting like a Democrat? Why are you killing me? Oh, no, it'll be fine. I'm going to see if it gets out today. So as you look back over this, you can convince yourself very easily that Providence played a role in this. When is the real battle coming? It comes this January when we take back the original bill to say we want a referendum for annexation. And that's going to be the toughest thing I ever do. And if I get that done, I'll be ready to come home, won't I, Bobby? And I'll be ready to quit. Now, I know I've run a little long. Are there any questions before?
Hang on.
Yeah, go
We're
ahead.
gonna take my question. I was waiting, so we're gonna try and call them. We're gonna come back. First of all, was that not refreshing?
Yeah.
We're gonna come back, don't go away.
Do you find that the League of Municipalities are as much of a problem to deal with as some of your liberal?
Oh, yeah. In Tennessee, it's called a TML, Tennessee Municipal League. And I noticed the other day that the Knoxville News Sentinel ran an article on how influential lobbyists are in Nashville, and they never mentioned TML. Bobby, who's the strongest lobbying group in Nashville? Probably TML. They have 7 to 9 people there every day. There are some things going on with that now, some public records disclosure requests out, and you'll see some very interesting things. I do want to make one statement and then take some questions from you. Bobby Wood played a role in this. He is so well respected in the House. He took time to send out a letter to every person up there detailing his long history of trying to pass it. It had an effect. On the day we were dead, Mark West showed up. When Mark West shows up, people know him and Greg. They know they're reasonable and they're intelligent. They're not like they get painted on TV. Let me tell you, one of the people in the House that was really waffling on me ran right into Mark West. And Mark said, I don't know where you stand on this. And instantly that was fixed. I couldn't fix that guy. It took a lot of people to get us, even as watered down as it is, to where we got to. There's a man in Mount Juliet that called me. His name is Bill Haupt, H-A-U-P-T. You will recognize him as the father of Proposition 13 in California many years ago. And he got sick of California and moved to Mount Juliet, Tennessee for his retirement. And they tried to annex him, and he raised such king and went around him. And so he started a Facebook page called Tennesseans Against Forced Annexation, TAFA. I wish you would go there and keep up with that stuff. A young man came to me, 2 people came to me, both who were head of the planning commission in their counties, telling me the bill was ridiculous and I didn't know what I was doing, and obviously I've never been involved in government, all kinds of things, and really pretty nasty. One of them, the head of the planning commission in Rutherford County. On the night the bill was argued, he stood up, and I thought, now I just can't wait to hear what he said. And he held up 2 4-inch binders. he said, Representative Carter, as you know my position on this bill. And I thought, yeah, I do. And he said, here is the binder with the emails I've gotten from in and around Chattanooga and now all across the state. 205 of them saying supporting your bill. My mayor called me today, and I opened his binder, and it's empty. I told him my binder was empty, Mayor. I'll support your bill. He has really been ripped over that. But he did the right thing. And he said later that I said something to him. I said, well, you know, I don't know whether the mayor, I only have one mayor that could have voted for me that lives in my district. I don't know whether he voted for me or not. But there are 37,000 people that live in the county that need a vote. They can't afford a lobbyist. That's why they sent me.
Yeah.
They don't need a lobbyist.
Right.
They have a representative. I was with them today, and they're still a little touchy about it, but they'll get over it. They'll get over it. I want to end and ask you a couple of questions, but I want to say something. I'm sorry Larry Grown left. Let me tell you what I've learned from being in. I served as special assistant to Claude Ramsey and left that position when he went to be deputy mayor. So I've been and seen how the county runs from the mayor's office. I've been a judge in the judicial branch, and I guess I've been in all three branches of government. Let me tell you, there is nothing more important than the legislature. Larry Grown is where the rubber meets the road. We all worry about Obamacare. I did what I could do to stop it in Tennessee. But we all worry about national issues, and they have to be concerning to us. And this rallying cry, which is going to be the best thing that's ever happened to us, eventually, because it's going to re-energize us to continue to watch. I'm convinced that the solutions to Americans' problems are going to come from us, not them. I'm convinced that the solutions are going to come from the bottom and go up, not from the top and come down. If you don't think your emails to representatives and senators don't have an effect, I can show you a bill it passed that no one thought. Why? Because a guy named Bill Hopped out in Mount Juliet stays on the internet every day. A guy named Chris Matthews out on Snow Hill Road is a computer genius. And he sent out all these emails and did all these things and got you all interested. It was very frustrating to me when this first started, and that we were fighting that battle by ourselves and we couldn't get anyone's attention. Finally got Mark on the phone, and things began to happen. Tea parties from around the state started to get involved and started backing us up. A very powerful senator told me he was going to kill the bill in his committee on Monday. I went to meet with him. Perhaps I'm told a little too forcefully. I was asked to leave his office, and I said, no, sir. Respectfully, I'm going to stay until I've said all I want to say. And then you can say whatever you want to say. But I'm going to tell you what I came to say. And I did. He is from a small town. I did not know that Chris Matthews is one of the best friends with a talk radio in that town. For the next 2 days, they talked about him and how he was killing the opportunity for people to vote. What American, what Tennessean will oppose the right to vote? 47 states allow people to vote on annexation. When did you think you would live long enough to look to California for guidance on conservative property issues? All right? So, all we did was stop them. You see what I'm saying? All we did was make them stop. That's all we've done. Just got them to stop. In January, we have to go back and pass the bill. What is revolutionary about this? What is revolutionary about the right to vote? So please help us. Go to TAFA, Tennesseans Against Forced Annexation. Join the website. Let him send you all that stuff. The mayors have gotten on me so bad across the state that Bo Watson and I yesterday sent out a letter saying, guys, you're lying. Here's what we did. Here's the bill. Here's the law. Read it for yourself. If we're going to change America, we have to first change Collegedale. We have to first change Chattanooga. And we first have to change Hamilton County. The solutions are going to come from the ground up. You all know us. You see us all the time. You can get to us. You can influence us. Now, Chuck Fleshman called me today and said, Mike, are you going to the Tea Party tonight? I heard you were going to speak. I said, yes. He said, please tell them I am in Washington. And if I could be there tonight to tell them I would. But tell them this. I have never seen such galvanized people on an issue. This is going to change our country for the better, because there's going to be some heads rolling, some things change. So people, please get involved. Bill Hahn, the guy that did Proposition 13, was in my office last week. We were meeting with a group in Gallatin. And he said, Mike, do you ever get frustrated that we spend every day beating our brains out on the walls trying to help people who won't help us help them? And if you can follow that, it can be frustrating. In Chattanooga, we knew who to call, and we got things organized. So please, stay a part of this, stay advised, and help us. Now, somebody's got some questions, I'm sure, about something you read in the legislature. Yeah.
I see beyond this, the right to vote, there's also a moral issue. I just wonder, are there any statistics on how many people have lost their property because all of a sudden their taxes have been doubled, and then the governmental agency has come in and seized their property?
Yeah, I don't know. On the House floor, I used the term seized, that you go out and seize property, and boy, the TML really ripped me over that. And I wrote them back, and I said, okay, seizure is the wrong word. If I don't pay my taxes, what do you do? And apparently that's a sale, so it's not a seizure. Anybody else?
Is there
Yep. I'm
anything
sorry.
we can do to help you when this comes up again next year?
Yes, yes. You can call your friends that live in Morristown, Jackson, your niece that lives in Memphis. We need statewide support for this. The bill got the bill, the way they were trying to defeat the bill is to say that I was against Ron Littlefield. That's the way they tried to say, this is a Hamilton County, Chattanooga thing, and he's hurting the whole state. Don't let him do that. And of course, nothing could then. Well, so, yeah, I get, well, maybe. That's really not true. I'm not against Mayor Littlefield. He and I get along great. We just disagree on many issues. So please get involved and help us. That's the main thing. Larry Groen, think about it. Agenda 21, it's never been approved by the Senate, but the city of Chattanooga already has an office of sustainability, and they do all these things. If we don't have people at the basic level to stop these things, they will occur before we know they've occurred. So Larry Groen has got the toughest job because he's right on the ground. I'm just a little bit further away, but please help us. Don't listen to what we say, watch what we do. And make sure we do what we promise to do. And if we don't, throw us out. It's that simple.
Mike,
Yes, sir.
I know you appreciate emails. What about the calls? The office? Better
Uh,
off emailing people?
You know, I've
Mail?
this group put together, spent over $13,000 on robocalls. They sent only, the good Lord would know how many emails. I found emails to be most effective. I really found that to be. People would stop me in the hall and say, look, I'm on your side, for heaven's sake, get them to stop. And the analogy I gave was I started driving this bus, and now I'm hanging on to the bumper by my teeth, and I don't know who's driving. So I can't stop it, but you need to be on the right side of it. Now, one of the things that we wanted to do, that looking back was not well thought out, but it was really smart. We passed the one-year moratorium till next year, May the 15th. When we go back into session in January, February, March to consider this, what's happening back home? People are qualifying to run against us. And if you think any of those people are going to stand up and say, we're against the right to vote. So that was, I was telling my wife the other night, she said, well, that's really smart of you. I said, I wish. That was just, even a blind hog will find an acorn every once in a while. I think we did with that. Yes, sir.
Can you tell me the path an email takes when I hit my send button and send it to you? Just tell me what path it goes.
Okay, don't know that I can. I know it ends up right here in my pocket. That is what I do know. And to my knowledge, as honest as I can be with you, I did not receive a single email since last November I haven't read. Now, a lot of them are nuts.
How about all these petitions? Are they any important to you folks?
Let me explain something to you. We have to be very careful as conservatives because people will take conservative names and conservative issues and they turn them around on us. So we can't read an email and trust who's behind it. You all been familiar with the ag-gag bill that the governor just vetoed? I was literally out in the hall trying to get votes for the annexation bill when that vote passed. It passed 50 to 49. I would have been the 51st vote. I was completely for it. I'm an animal lover. The left wing got on it that if you're an animal lover, you're against the bill. Now, what the bill said is if you see an animal being abused, you must turn that over within 48 hours to end the suffering of the animal. They say no. And you know what the lobbyists told me? Mr. Carter, we need long periods. We make documentaries of this. And I said, documentaries? For heaven's sakes, what happens to the animal during that period? Well, it's our primary fundraising. Are you following me, guys? Now, some of you in this room may have sent me an email saying, we want transparency in the food we get from our farms, we want animals treated right, be against this bill. If you will read it and look at it, there's nothing further from the truth. So let's be very careful about that. Now, a couple of legislators brought me some Tea Party, they would say the Tea Party is for this. And I'd say, let me find out for myself. You know, let me call. And one of them, Mark, said, I am for it. I said, well, Mark, wait a minute, we got a problem. For the first time, I disagree with you on something. Let me sit down and explain to you how this works. And so we spent a couple of days going through this. And the problem is, the bill, we would all agree with it and we'd all vote for it, but it was clearly unconstitutional. I don't like that, but that's the way it is. Would it make great press? Sure. Is it constitutional? No. So I want to pass it and tell Greg, well, I got that gun bill passed for you. Well, what I did was pass a knowingly unconstitutional bill. The ACLU will sue to set it aside. They will win, and we'll pay them $2 million in attorney's fees. We're out, the drone bill came up, and a very fine young man named Micah Van Huss, literally a year ago, was in the hills of Afghanistan. I met him and really took up with the kid. And he carried the drones bill. And our law enforcement went to him and put an amendment in it that said they can fly over your house and film you, and if they see you committing a crime, get a search warrant 48 hours later. They put the search warrant after the search. Well, my guy was a really neat kid, but he hadn't been behind the bench. He hadn't granted and denied some search warrants. And so I said, Micah, for heaven's sakes, Micah, we stand between the abuses of government and the citizen. We're not here to help the government. We're here to restrain the government. Well, he didn't recognize the catch. So we changed it. It got changed back. And when it came to the Judiciary Committee, there it was. And I said, guys, I'm not, no. And I explained why, and the committee was going to kill the bill. We go out in the hall, and he said, well, Mike, I don't understand what it's a TBI. Well, I don't care who it is. We're here to protect the citizens from the government and to represent them in that. And we got a retired FBI agent. I don't know if I ever signed his search warrant, but I signed a bunch of them for him, and some of them I denied. Guys, we're there to protect. So I was out in the hall, and there was this elderly man, sort of disheveled, and a young woman, sort of disheveled, and they were just butting in. They just, every time we moved 3 inches, they'd stick their nose in. So I said, here, let me just write out what we need to do. And so I wrote it out. And Micah ran in the office, got it typed, and we can hear an amendment right then, and we agreed to do so, and we changed it. The old man said, may I shake your hand? And I said, well, sure, I'm Mike Carter from Chattanooga. You with the Tea Party? He said, I really like what you did with the bill. And I said, well, it's just right. That's American principle. And he said, well, I really appreciate it. But no, I'm with another group. It's called the American Civil Liberties Union. And I thought, I hope Mark doesn't agreeing with the ACLU, but I agreed with them completely because they were right. The next day, I'm out in the hall on this guns bill, clearly unconstitutional. I said, please don't do this. Just don't take $2 or $3 million of state money and give it to the ACLU. The little lady that was standing there kept butting in and listening and listening. And so finally the lady says, okay, I'm going to go home, I'm going to call so-and-so, I'll be back with you tomorrow. I said, fine, let's talk about it tomorrow. She turned to the lady and said, ma'am, please don't listen to this man. She said, you know him? And she said, no, I don't know him. But for heaven's sakes, don't listen to Representative Carter. He will bankrupt us. I said, ma'am, who are you? She said, I'm the vice president of the Tennessee American Civil Liberties Union. They wanted us to pass that bill. They were lobbying for that bill to be passed, guys. It's their source of funding. Now, if we're going to win, we got to be smarter than feed our enemies. Not enemy, because I agreed with them on certain things. When they're for basic constitutional issues, they got a friend in me, don't care who does. Any other questions? Guys, be real careful about what you read. Look it up and read what it really says. Okay?
Nancy, two last quick questions, and then we.
January, does this bill start all over again, go into all the meetings like it did this time?
Are you talking about the annexation bill? Yes, ma'am. I think there will be two bills, I'm not sure. TASER, this study bill, that they will come out with a bill that they'll ask the legislature to pass. I do not expect it to be what I want because TASER is widely known for being owned by the cities. But even the people that call me from TASER are saying, boy, the cities are really taking advantage of people. So I see what I think they want is when you annex an area, you must give guaranteed dates of service provided. And if you require services that cost money, you eliminate annexation because it's a profit motive. So that's their view on it. Whatever TASER does doesn't matter. We're going to bring our own bill back exactly like it was before. This summer, I got a text there a minute ago from Courtney Rogers up in Gallatin, Tennessee. Want me to call her. She's in a Tea Party meeting tonight. They asked her some questions. I'll get with her in a few minutes. We're literally going representative to representative to representative over the summer, taking time to do it. And so when we go back, we hope we can get it passed. Now here's the way they'll kill us. If I'm back here next year and it didn't get anywhere, they will create a new committee on annexation. And they'll stack it. Now here's the difference. When Bobby was up there, that's exactly what they did, right? The Speaker of the House called me up the night it passed, and she said, Representative, I can't believe this passed. She voted for it, but she said it was because so many people worked so hard to get it passed. I do not want to leave here tonight with you all thinking I did this. My name is on the bill, and I carried the bill, and I'm the one that stood and spoke for it, but there are hundreds of people across the state that really worked hard to get this done. Those people are energized, we're coming back, and we're bringing a plain referendum bill next year. And with what I've learned, I hope we'll have it where it will pass without exception. But you think that the right thing will be the easiest thing in the world to do. It's one quick lesson Bobby will appreciate. In Hamilton County, a lady bought a car and she came and gave the title and got her tag. She wrote a check for $683. The check bounced. Do you know that the statutes on collection of bad payments to the clerks are so old that the only way he can collect that is by the issuance of a distress warrant? How many of you all remember what a distress warrant is? Here's what it is. It allows the sheriff to go out and take a cash register from a business. Well, most people don't see you a cash register, sure. And so it's ineffective. She comes back 2 years later. They issued 15 distress warrants, all returned not to be found. She comes back to get a renewal. And they said, well, you got to make your check. She said, nope. I called Nashville. They said, you got to give me a tag. So our clerk, Bill Knowles, who does a great job, called Nashville, and they said, yeah, right, give her a tag. Does that make any sense to anybody in there? So I carry a bill, and it simply says that if you bounce a check buying your car tag, you can't get your updated tag until you make the first one good. Radical? Yeah, I couldn't get it anywhere. And so finally, this guy said, well, Mr. Carter, I don't know about down Hamilton County where all you rich folks live, but up in Cobb County, we're poor. I said, so if I buy a Mercedes, I can come up there and write you a bad check for the taxes and the tag, and you'll pay it? It's a great country. Well, finally he caught on. But I said to them, do you understand you're having your taxpayers pay the bad debt of bonds? Well, this little lawyer came up to me and he said, Mike, do you mind to step back here and let me talk to you just a minute? I said, sure. What about it? He said, your bill. I said, oh, okay. He said, you want me to tell you how to pass it? I said, I do. He said, you put a 10% penalty on me. This lady would owe $683 plus $68 for all the sheriff's activities. I thought somebody ought to pay a little bit of that. He said, if you'll just give about 2% of that to the state, it'll pass. So I went back and took the 10% and said 80% of which shall remain with the county and 20% shall be remitted to the state of Tennessee. Not another no vote the whole way.